The birth of a Bushism. Charlie, you had a client that was a Geelong man who threatened two police with a tomahawk on grand final day. Was that after a win or a loss? Was he celebrating or upset?
I only remember one badly behaved Essendon supporter
on
grand final day.
What happened with him?
Well, he went and got a gun and shot the door out.
Why?
I don't really know, and he doesn't really know either. All he knows was he's pretty pissed, and he wasn't a house that he knew the people.
How often is alcohol at the root of crime, Charlie?
Lots.
Lots? That's the legal one, by the way, Liam. Liam?
Lots
the legal one.
Well, I think you should propose a system whereby they legalise it, Headley.
What?
Alcohol and other drugs.
It is legalised. That's the trouble. What happened during Prohibition, Liam? Al Capone, that's right. Corruption, crime.
Wait a minute. The Kennedys and the Catholics got very rich.
That's true.
Because they produced it in Canada.
Papa Kennedy was a bootlegger, wasn't he? Yeah.
We can touch on the Catholic Church for a minute. They admitted to 600 odd
plus.
Is that 600 lawsuits coming up, Charlie?
I would suspect so.
And what sort of damages can they expect?
I don't know, to be honest. I would suspect
staggering.
Let's say someone came to you, someone that was molested or interfered with, came to you and said, "I'm one of the 600 that they've admitted to." What sort of number do you put on something like that?
I don't know how you can.
Well, that's why I'm asking you. You're the lawyer.
It's not my field, though.
Yeah.
But you'd obviously have to look at what damage it's done and the extent of the damage, and there'd be varying degrees of damage.
How do you measure psychological damage?
Thank you, Headley.
What, do you get an expert? Is there some sort of benchmark? Is there any way you can do it?
An expert's the only person you could go to. And then it's a question of what the court's prepared to listen to. If the Catholic Church was smart, they'd start settling them fairly quickly, I would have thought. They don't need this to be dragged on and go through the rag press day in, day out.
Well, is it 600 individual lawsuits they're looking at? Or
potentially, I think so.
Well, I think some of them go back to the 30s, so I think you're going to have an issue of how many of the victims are still with us and that sort of thing. Well, that's true. That's true. But then, presumably
that wouldn't make a
presumably the church is still liable.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
The thing is, growing up as a left-footer myself, and travelling over Ireland at the turn of the millennium and stuff, it's just like you never see an organisation more hurt by an issue. It's just
destroying.
No one goes to. There's bugger all people in the Catholic Church anymore, and in Ireland in particular.
Really, Ireland?
It was in Ireland where this was probably at its worst, I suspect, and Boston in America as well. The faithful just went enough's enough and walked away.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
And do you expect the inquiry that they're currently having to, is that what they were hoping for was a Royal Commission? They've got this inquiry. Is that going to be any good?
I don't know. Again, what do you do? How do you make it better? Can you ever make it better?
I don't know whether an inquiry is the answer to anything.
Well, that's what they're currently doing.
Yeah, I know. But I suspect the only thing that the victims and their families who have come forward, I suppose, see it as a forum of where they can air their grievances.
Yeah, that's right. And I think what happens with these sorts of things is, and you see analogous situations, and there's been, to be fair, there's been, this has happened a little bit in, Orthodox Jewish circles, and there's a thing that happens when these things happen in religious circles where, people have conflicting ties between their faith and arguably doing the right thing and blowing the whistle. I just don't see that. I think what the victims want is, number one, some sort of recompense, but number two, what often happens is that they're actually pissed off with the procedure and the fact that they're having to be put through the ringer when they're telling the truth. And what they often want is kind of some sort of retribution for the dodgy procedure.
I think what most people are angry about is that nothing was done. It was cover up, move him around. It wasn't the act as much as the cover
up. And
that's
what I mean by procedure. They're going through this and saying, well, actually this happened to me. I finally found the courage to say it. And you're putting me to this committee and you're giving me the runaround, and I actually think you don't really want to know about this. And
the other aspect of that, of course, is that the other question is, well, how come it took so long for you to acknowledge that it happened?
Yeah.
And there's a couple of cardinals who are in the Vatican who've got a dodgy track record who are basically being protected, and that's an ongoing shame.
Okay, two very final points. Julian Assange.
It's true, he was investigated when he was Archbishop Darren.
Is it suppressed?
No.
Why are you whispering then? Julian Assange, firstly, he's a journalist. Liam, what do you reckon will happen?
Oh, is he a journalist? I don't like to claim him as one of my own.
No, I'm saying as a journalist, what do you think will happen to Julian Assange?
Well, it's turned into a sort of bizarre. This reminds me of the 70s. There's another development where he's now going to be shipped by some country's embassy to another country's embassy, and it's reminding me of the sort of
in a box.
No,
with
a diplomatic passport, and he's got his courier passport now as well. And this is turning into the sort of thing like from the 70s, where the politics was sort of, it was committed on international jetliners between different countries. And Julian Assange, he lost, I fell out of love with this man when he started naming people and getting them killed who were basically just villagers in Middle Eastern countries.
Charlie?
I think it's all gone to shit, as far as he's concerned. I think who cares what he's done and what he said? Who cares? It's the end of it. It's finished. It should. The Americans, if they want him, they'll get him at some stage or another. He's breached the English laws and he's done it on purpose. So there shouldn't be any sympathy for him.
There's another thing where you can behave badly, and if you make an American an enemy of America, you make a lot of other funny friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And finally, the Corruption Commission. Is it going to happen? Will it be effective? Or are they just going to delay their election promise? Charlie?
Who knows? They've taken a step towards doing something by appointing Brendan Murphy as the watchdog on warrants being issued.
Scull's brother.
Yeah.
Yep.
A younger brother. Skull's still around, so just be careful.
I know Skull, he's a good man.
He's a good bloke. As to whether they seem to be hell-bent on going onto this anti-corruption commission. Whether they actually put it together in time before the next election, wouldn't surprise me if they don't.
Liam, are you going to be campaigning for it?
I think it's a good thing, whether I personally believe in it or whatever. I think it's a good thing. These things are only ever as good as the people that they put into them. There's no foolproof system.
I agree.
Okay, and on that note, we thank Mr. Liam Houlihan, author of The Remarkable Rise and Fall of Tony Mockwell, Bigwig. Get it at all good stores or at the Herald Sun Bookshop.
We'll download it online somewhere.
Hey!
Ouch!
Don't pay for it.
Can I get it on Kindle?
You can buy it, yeah, it's out there as an ebook. It's on
really?
iTunes and all
Excellent.
that.
I was talking legitimate.
Thank you, Charlie Nakaka. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Pablo. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, band. And welcome back, Tarek.
Thank you very much, Headley. It's wonderful to be back. And I've made a special appearance tonight to sing My Way with you.
And here it is. And remember, your way may be the right way. So until someone proves otherwise, more, Tarek.
More, much more.
Much, much, much more than this. Ho-ho! Just do it!
I remember the Wright brothers in 1903 when they built those airplanes. I went along doing things my way. I loved along the highway. I fought in World War I. They called me a vagabond. I picked this one up and that one up, and they were all wonderful. Oh, I saw the Charlton, and when the girls wore those short skirts, I was right there with them on the radio, the talking movies, and another World War, and boogie woogie, and I went around doing things my way. And finally, I lived to see them put a man on the moon. And now I'm still going along, doing things my way. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. For what is a man? What has he got? If nothing so, then he has not to say the things he truly feels. And not the words of the one who kneels. The record shows did it my way.
3RRR.
That's it for the moment.